590 KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Front Stretch, brought to you by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com.
Well, it is a beautiful Sunday morning in the Metro, and we thank you for joining us. I am Dan Taylor, joined by my ever-colorful co-host, Buddy Ray. Buddy, how you doing this morning?
Half asleep.
We want to point out the fact that you're not going to hear Andrew today, and that's not because of Andrew's fault. Here's the thing. It turns out when you forget to tell somebody we changed the recording time, they tend to not show up. So we greatly apologize to Andrew and to any fans out there.
No. You apologize.
No. We apologize to Andrew. The night we were recording, Andrew was taking care of some previous obligations with Metropolitan Community College as a part of Kaziski Auto Parts, so he wasn't able to get out of it. We called him like 5 minutes before we recorded. We're like, hey, you want to come? And he's like, I didn't know anything about this. So on top of that, I'm the only one that saw the race on Sunday so, at Martinsville. Buddy, you've been busy with the Holiday Horsepower Drive.
Wow, the Racing with the Stars coming up. Yeah, that's taken a lot of my time.
If you want any information about that, hang on just a little bit. We're going to talk with Alicia. What was it?
Elisa Dufresne
from the Children's Hospital. We're going to talk with you, bud, to get all the information about that. So we're going to get everybody up to date as far as what the Holiday Horsepower Drive is, the Racing with the Stars is, what it is today that's going on, all the great information. You can also get more information on the Facebook page for the Holiday Horsepower Drive. Just search Holiday Horsepower Drive in Facebook. You can also search Joe's Karting, and you, as the administrator of the Joe's Karting page, you've been posting all the information on there.
I've been doing a pretty good job keeping it updated.
I tell you what, I'm about to hire you as the Front Stretch administrator, so that way somebody actually posts on there. But coming up in turn 4, we're going to break down Texas Motor Speedway, the chase, everything that's going to be happening later today, how the chase is unfolding, the typical turn 4 we've done over the last couple of weeks. In turn 3, like we just talked about, we'll talk with Buddy and Elisa from Children's Hospital about the Holiday Horsepower Drive and the Racing with the Stars. Turn 2, we're going to get to the news, Fast 5 stories that are dominating the NASCAR world. In turn 1, as always, we break down what's going on at Martinsville. Before we get to all of that, the Turn 1 is presented by the Auto Connection in Lincoln. With cold temperatures just around the corner, you need to make sure your car is in full working condition. Make sure you've got the winter tires on, the nitrous in your tires. Nitrous?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen in the tires.
Nitrous.
You don't want to put nitrous in there. That'll freeze things a little bit. Tell you what, things got real smart on here real quick. I apologize.
Wow.
But talk to Kevin and all the great guys over at Auto Connection in Lincoln, 21st and P Street, online at autorepairlincolnne.com. Let's talk about what happened at Martinsville. We talk about whenever you go to these short tracks, and especially Martinsville, it's all about give and take. And a lot of times drivers are taken, but they're not given anything. And we saw several drivers who just got a little frustrated and a little bit fed up. But the man who gets the pole is the man who had the dominant car all day long, Jimmy Johnson, although I don't think he had the best car. I think who had the best car is the guy who didn't even finish the race. Denny Hamlin comes home with a 33rd place finish. Had an electrical issue with his ECU, the new engine control unit for the EFI, the electronic fuel injection device. If you saw the replay of the race, or you saw the race yourself, you noticed that as he was coming back up through the field and looking like he was going to take the lead again, that the car just started shutting off through the straightaway. I mean, it would sputter and then done. And he went around for about 10 laps like that, and finally NASCAR black flagged and went back into the pits. Made it out for a little while, but gets a 33rd place finish, and it's really unfortunate. I think Denny was sitting third in the points as he walked into Martinsville, had a very good car, had a lot of hopes of catching Keselowski and Johnson and possibly throwing his hat in the rink. But unfortunately, because of his 33rd place finish, he now sits 5th in the points, and he's 49 points behind. I think it's safe to say he's as good as done.
Yeah, I don't know if he's as good as done. He's got 3 or 4 races left. If he's got 3 races left, if he has good finishes, it's going to be tough for him to win the championship. But I don't think he's mathematically completely out of it.
No, he's not even close to being mathematically out. He's 49 points out. You've got to be 138 points behind. Yeah, 138 points behind in order to be mathematically eliminated. And we do have our first driver that is mathematically eliminated from the chase. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you got to say, with the way that Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson are running, you cannot, in 3 races, if they stay status quo, you're not going to be able to catch those guys. As they finished from Martinsville, Johnson ended up getting the lead. I was actually, and I want to say actually, but I was very pleased with Johnson because he's got a stigma. I don't know if it's necessarily a stigma, but let me just say this. One thing I think held Mark Martin back from winning a championship was the fact that he was too nice. And Johnson has from time to time showed that he is not too nice. He will push you out of the way. And as good as he is at Martinsville, as good of a car as Chad Knaus gives him, he also understands that you can't wait for somebody to let you go, because that will allow the second placement or the guy behind you to close on you. And that's all it takes is one opportunity for them to get that nose in there, and all of a sudden they've blown by you because you were nice and were letting a lap car pick their line. So Johnson, doesn't matter if you were a lap car, if you were 15 laps down, or if you were the guy ahead of him in the position, he'll give you a turn or two, and then he will push you out of the way. And I gave him a lot of credit for that, because I think that's one aspect you definitely need. Talk about it from the dirt track level.
In the dirt track level, the best way to describe it, I know this year, and we joked about it earlier this year on the front stretch, I led a race at Crawford County Speedway the whole race.
All but about 2 or 3 laps of it, I believe.
White flag. It's on video.
Yeah.
At the white flag.
There it is. It's on video.
It's on video. It's on YouTube. Right at the white flag, I believe it was Logan Scott that got me. It was one of the Scotts. Yeah, one of the Scotts. Anyways, I go into high side of 4. I had a run of steam coming off 4. He went to the bottom. He drifted up towards the wall like we normally do, and I backed off. I was the nice guy. I backed off. I respected the young man. He's a great racer, but in doing so, I tried to dive bomb the corner, and it didn't work, and he ended up going on to win the race.
In the dirt track world, though, don't you have to give somebody the what do they call it, the chrome horns?
The chrome horn?
Yeah. Don't you have to give somebody that every once in a while?
At this level, had we had the chase format in dirt track racing, right now, I wouldn't have waited for Scott. You know what, Scott, you're going bye-bye. I'm going to hit you in the back bumper. I'm not going to put you in the wall. I'm not going to take you out. I'm just going to bump and run. I'm going to bump you out of my way. I'm going to run right by you. Mm-hmm. And at the dirt track level, it's so expensive. We don't really want to tear up each other's cars, so we try to be gentlemanly about it. But there are a lot of drivers, a lot more than me, that have got a little bit more fire in their belly, that are a little bit more competitive than me, that will not do that. They will bump and run me. I don't know how many times I've been knocked in the back bumper. Get out of my way, bud. I'm coming through. Okay, as long as you don't take Sabine out, we're good to go. So
didn't take long for Sabine to get mentioned.
No, what, about 5 minutes?
Yeah, Kyle Busch finished second. Casey Kane comes home third. Eric Almirola, another good run for Eric Almirola.
Where is this guy coming from?
Should have had a top 5 at Kansas, but unfortunately blew that tire.
He should have won Kansas.
You're absolutely right. He should have. I don't know if he'd have had the car the whole way through, because he wrecked about midway through the race, but that guy had an absolutely dominant car, and it's great to see that 43 back up there and contending. Clint Boyer comes home in 5th, Brad Keselowski 6th, Jeff Gordon 7th, Brian Vickers 8th, Bobby Labonte comes home in 9th,
with
Greg
the Pine
Biffle
Sol.
10th.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. 9th with Bobby Labonte and the Pine Sol Toyota. Boy, is the competition washed up or what?
Listen, there's no given that this show is going to make you dumber at one point in time.
5-hour energy. Clint drank a 5-hour energy and gave him 30 extra horse.
Clint had a great car, though. Brad Keselowski came all the way back from starting 32nd to finish 6th. And I think that right there, along with Johnson's move at Kansas, where they come into the pits about 15 different times and are able to get that car fixed. I think that right there for Brad Keselowski, able to come from 32nd at Martinsville, finish 6th, says a lot for his championship hopes. Now, right now, he's only 2 points behind Johnson in the championship point standings, but that says a lot. He could have had an absolutely horrible day.
That shows a lot of maturity from the ground up within that organization. And we could go on all day along with Brad Bad, but Greg Biffle, I'm noticing in this chase, prior to the chase, we're seeing Biffle run quite a bit. Top 5, top 3, get some wins. The chase hits. He's 10th, 15th.
Yeah,
9th.
there's been something going on at Roush Fenway, because the only person that's done anything is Matt Kenseth. I mean, he's won 2 races in the chase.
Yeah.
Talladega and Kansas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than that,
I'm curious. I would like to know from either Jack Roush or or Biff himself or his crew chief, how do you go from being a competitive week in, week out top 5 to almost sudden being 9th to 15th in the chase?
It's weird because both of those cars
like a light
have just
switch went off.
disappeared. That's absolutely what it's like. But that is your top 10, how they finished at Martinsville. We're running out of a little bit of time. We want to make sure we leave enough time for talking with buddies about the holiday horsepower drive. So we're going to cut turn 1 a little bit short, turn 2 a little bit short, and we're going to keep it quick in turn 4. That way we've got plenty of time to talk about it, the holiday horsepower drive in turn 3. But just around the corner, we're going to get to the Fast 5. It's 5 stories that are dominating the NASCAR world. This is the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This is the Front Stretch on AM 590, brought to you by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
Well, we thank you for joining us again on the Front Stretch. We're into turn 2. This is the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K, and it's just off of 23rd Avenue in the nice little shopping district there. It's the same exit you would go to Mid-America Center, the AMC Theaters, Quaker Steak and Lube, Bass Pro Shop. You just take 23rd Avenue, go right. But what's that? The hotel that's right in front of you guys. Holiday Inn Express. It's right behind there. You'll see it on the 23rd Avenue. So get to Joe's Karting today. In fact, get there today, and you're going to be able to race with the stars. It's going to be the best event all year long, I think. And this is going to be a great eye-opening experience as far as what Joe's is. Real quickly, I know we're trying to keep this quick so we got enough time to talk to you and Elisa from Children's Hospital, but I was really surprised a couple of weeks ago when we went down and raced for the Racing with the Stars Crawford County style.
Joe's versus Pros Crawford County Speedway.
Sorry, I keep getting that mixed up. The Joe's versus Pros. I was really surprised how many drivers got out of those carts and just said, man, it is. I mean, that is a workout driving those carts.
Oh, yeah.
It's not easy.
No.
I mean, I know the night we went and raced 4 races, I woke up the next day and, like, my shins hurt from pushing down on the gas so hard that I beat you guys. My forearms hurt.
Really?
My I don't know what muscles you call them, but on your backbones. I mean, I was pretty well sore from racing that night, but it's a bit of a workout. Is it like that in the mods? I mean, is it like that in your dirt track?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, we get beat up a lot. In fact, this year, I'm pretty darn certain I actually cracked my tailbone. I couldn't sit down for a couple of weeks.
Well, that was just for making Rachel mad, though.
That could have been.
When she kicked you, it was from that.
I didn't land for about 3 days. So it was USS Bud.
That's what happens when she listens to this show and you make fun of her.
Yeah, they call her Rachel Rocket.
Let's get into the Fast 5. 5 stories that are dominating the NASCAR world. Jeff Burton makes statement of the century. He says 2013 is a make-or-break year.
Duh.
Currently sitting in the NASCAR point standings, he is 22nd. Excuse me, not 22nd. I apologize. He is 19th in the point standings. Obviously, this is going to be a make-or-break year for him. If you look at the writing on the wall, I don't think it's a make-or-break year for him. I think this is his last year at Richard Childress Racing.
Yeah.
We've seen this writing on the wall. If Austin Dillon, down in the Nationwide Series, continues to do as well as he is in 2013, he will be driving a full-time Cup ride for Richard Childress Racing, and I think it's going to push Jeff Burton out. I don't hope for that at all, and I don't think Jeff's not going to find himself a new home. I think he'll find a new home somewhere because he's got that cat sponsorship behind him.
You know what's going to happen to Jeff Burton? He's going to be the new Mark Martin. Here's Mark Martin. He was running year in and year out. He always had a ride. He always had a home. He's going to retire. There's going to be some sponsorship issues. And then all of a sudden, he's going to come back out of retirement. He's going to do a part-time schedule. I see him taking a lot of the same path as Mark Martin. Here's the deal with Jeff Burton, and some people are going to agree with me, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me. Jeff Burton has reached the peak of his career, and he's on that downward turn. Mm-hmm. Now, is he a good wheelman? Oh, absolutely. You damn right he is. He can get a car around any racetrack. He's got the expertise. He's got the experience. But in today's game, and we see it in NASCAR clear down to the dirt track level, younger is the new hip thing. Younger, faster, quicker. And Burton is almost in a point now that if I'm Richard Childress, do I really want you driving my car, or do I want Burton being a coach for Dan Taylor driving my car, a young, good Dan Taylor? Burton, I want you to give your knowledge to Dan Taylor. That's where you're most useful at now.
And, you know, we've heard this throughout the entire year. We heard it down in Kansas, talking with several of the people down in Kansas. Please, fans, don't take this the wrong way when we say this, but the only reason why Jeff Burton is still at Richard Childress Racing is because he has that cat sponsorship.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about this several times. It comes down to sponsorability more than it comes down to talent. And again, don't take that as we don't think Jeff Burton is talented or deserving of his ride. But that cat sponsorship has saved him from, just like Paul Menard, because he's got the Menard sponsorship. Hasn't necessarily torn up the NASCAR world and put up all these great statistics.
He's got the dollars.
Exactly. He's got the sponsorship behind him. And so as far as Richard Childress is concerned, as long as those two cars are profitable from their sponsorship, why change drivers? I mean, why?
Not only that, but sometimes you naturally get a sponsor that hooks up good with that driver's name.
Yeah.
You think of Dale Earnhardt Sr., you think of Goodwrench. You think of Richard Petty, you're STP. You think of Gordon, you're thinking DuPont. You think of Jeff Burton, you're thinking of Caterpillar.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, had it not been for Caterpillar, Burton wouldn't be around.
And it kind of makes me wonder, we just talked about a little bit, if Burton will be in that car in 2014 or if Austin Dillon will be taking the place. Austin Dillon right now down in the Nationwide Series, and when he was in the Truck Series, had his major sponsor was Bass Pro Shop. Well, guess who just picked up Bass Pro Shop as his primary sponsor for 20 races in 2013 and on? Tony Stewart. So that eliminates the Bass Pro Shop sponsorship for Austin Dillon. Now, I don't think they're going to have any issue going out there and finding sponsorship, but that could be one reason why Jeff Burton remains with Richard Childress in 2014 is because they're not able to get Austin a full-time Cup ride fully sponsored. Let's move on to the number 2 in the Fast Five. Martin, Vickers, and Waltrip will continue to share the seat in the 55 for 2013. It was announced earlier this week that Mark Martin, Brian Vickers, and Michael Waltrip will continue to share driving duties in the 55. We talked about this at the beginning of the season, and after Brian Vickers' performance last year with Red Bull Racing, some of the antics he did on the track, I wasn't a very big fan of him. But the performance he's put on in that 55, I'm back on board. The guy has simply driven respect back into my opinion of him. He has apparently had many offers from organizations to come and race for him, which he has turned down. Full-time Cup rides to come and race for him. He's turned them down because he respects what they're doing at Michael Waltrip Racing.
I understand that he respects what they're doing for him at Waltrip Racing, but if you had, and this is no disrespect, if you had James Finch offer you a ride, or you had Michael Waltrip offer you a ride, who do you think is going to offer you more insight, more knowledge on how to grow as a driver and gain that respect?
Exactly. That's what. And not just that, but that he wants to be at an organization that's on the up and up. And it's not to say Phoenix Racing isn't on the up and up.
Oh no, they're a decent organization.
They don't have enough research and development. They don't have enough funding in that team, nor sponsorship in that team to really be able to do much. So it's in Vickers' best interest to stay with him for 2013, and he's keeping his hopes alive that 2013 will be Mark Martin's final year, and that Vickers will be offered the full-time ride in the 55 for 2014. Now, he's also working on a full-time Nationwide Series schedule for Joe Gibbs Racing. That'll be a great step for him also in his career.
Yeah, you know what? The one thing I want to touch on real quick, Martin. At what point in time do people start getting irritated? Well, Mark Martin's going to retire, or Mark Martin's going to run a limited schedule just to find out Mark Martin's going to come back. Is that shock and awe going to start wearing off?
I don't think it's there at all. This isn't like the Brett Favre thing where for 4 years in a row he retired, and then 3 months later, oh nope, I'm coming back. Or like Michael Jordan, where he retired 3 times, came back twice. Mark Martin has never said I'm going to retire. He did his farewell tour with who was he racing for at the time? Roush, I believe. Roush Fenway.
I believe so.
Did his farewell tour there. But that was because he didn't have a contract with him at the end of the year, and they weren't going to renew him, so they did kind of a farewell with him. But, I think this is a little bit of a different deal. So Eric Almirola, we talked about it in turn 1.
Oh, my God. Most improved driver right now.
Yeah, well, he is close to re-signing with Richard Petty Motorsports in the 43. So good news for Eric Almirola. I think he's on the up and up. It's finally starting to show. Now, it's only 2 races.
Yep.
But That's 2 promising races. It's not just 2 races where he raced consistently in the top 10. It was 2 races where he had a damn good car. And I apologize for cussing on a Sunday morning.
He had a damn good car.
But he had a damn good car.
The race at Kansas, he flat out made him look stupid.
We're running out of time here, but let's talk about the final big story of the week. Burton Ambrose crew chief changes. Drew Blickensturfer, who has been the crew chief... I don't want to because I got it right the first time. Who was crew chiefing for Jeff Burton all this year, announced on Sunday he was leaving Richard Childress Racing to head over to Richard Petty Motorsports to take over as crew chief for Marcus Ambrose in the 9 car. This is not a new venture for Drew Blickensturfer, who has been with the Ford camp. Apparently, this is something that has caught me off guard completely. Apparently, Ford worked with Richard Childress to basically acquire Blickensturfer in a trade. Shane Wilson is going to be replacing Drew Blickensturfer at the helm of the 31 for the 2013 season and for the remainder of the 2012 season. Drew Blickensturfer is one of these up-and-comer guys. He's got a lot of talent. He's young, he's driven, he's smart, he's wily, you know. I mean, he's got the strategies down. Listening to an interview with him, he was saying he just wasn't having any fun. The wins weren't coming like he was expecting it to, and he fully expected to get to not be coming back to Richard Childress, and he worked well with Richard himself to work out a situation to where everyone will be happy. And this is what has come of it. Drew Blickensturfer will be leaving, has effectively left, heading over to Richard Petty Motorsports. Shane Wilson will be coming up and taking over as his crew chief. So a bit of an I've never heard of a trade like this.
I'm just getting over the fact of you trying to pronounce his last name.
And I've got it right almost every single time.
You sound like you just drank a 5th of Jack.
That is the Fast 5. I think it was only the Fast 4, but we're running out of time. We want to make sure to save time for Turn 3, where we're going to sit down and talk with Buddy about the Holiday Horsepower Drive and the Racing with the Stars. That's coming up next in Turn 3. This is The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
You're listening to The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio. Brought to you by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to it. This is The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. You can also give them a call today. And, Buddy, what's that phone number again for corporate outings and family outings?
Oh, absolutely. 712-256-5278. Or email me at buddyj@joeskarting.com. BUDDY, letter J, Joe's Karting, karting with a K.com.
That's also the number that people can call, a phone number they can get a hold of, and an email address people can get a hold of if they want to get involved in the Holiday Horsepower Drive, which it may be a little bit late now, just 4 hours away from the kickoff of this whole thing, but that's what we've got in studio today. From Children's Hospital, Alicia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we're talking about the Holiday Horsepower Drive, something, Buddy, that you put together. We talked about it last week, and there's been some updates, and I know from the night we recorded this to the day that it airs, there's going to be even more updates as far as drivers are going to be involved in it, items you can auction on, or you can bid on during the auction. So make sure you friend the Holiday Horsepower Drive, the Front Stretch, or Joe's Karting all on Facebook, because, Buddy, you've done a great job all this week of updating people as far as what drivers, what items, times, phone numbers, email addresses. The important thing is, if you want to get a hold of Buddy, what's that email address again? BuddyJ@joeskarting.com.
BUDDY, letter J, at joeskarting.com.
Is there a buddy.j? Or am I
just
thinking
BuddyJ at joeskarting.com.
BuddyJ@joeskarting.com. Yep. You can also give Buddy a call at Joe's Karting at 712-256-5278. And talk to him about that. It's happening in just 4 short hours. And let's talk about some of the drivers that are going to be there. I know you've added a list of drivers since last Sunday that, frankly, I'm excited about.
Some of the names we got coming down, Hunter Weber, 15 years of age. The reason why we picked him up, raised $7,000 for the Relay for Life campaign. We have Shane DeMay in the IMCA Modifieds. He's your 2012 Crawford County Speedway Modified champion this year. Josh Blum from the IMCA Sport Mods. He's out of Sioux City, Iowa. Driver of the 25 Sport Mod and sponsor of the Holiday Horsepower Drive. And when I say sponsor, he actually helps us find drivers. Sometimes he'll do flyers, stuff like that. And then our very own, you might have heard of him, Andrew Kaziski from the SLMR Late Model Series. He's right here on the Front Stretch, not here today.
A little scheduling conflict.
Yeah, and because of that, our 5th entry is none other than you, Dan Taylor. And because of that, I might just bump you off the list, but, you are good for a laugh. We're going to lap you a couple times.
That's right. And I'm perfectly happy to be pulling up the rear.
Another big sponsor of the Holiday Horsepower Drive, Stefan Siebesma. Siebesma Race Wraps is actually a sponsor of myself in the Holiday Horsepower Drive. They sponsor our wraps on the cars, and every year he actually kind of gives me a little bit of advice on what to do, how to present myself. God knows I could use all the help in that area at times. Josh Most from the number 92 IMCA Modified, owner and driver of the Edge Modifieds. Next driver up on the list, Shannon Anderson, IMCA's winningest hobby stock driver of all time. He's is slated to be here. Jake Masters, IMCA USRA stock car. He's one of IMCA and USRA's hottest all-time stock car drivers. Two names here, Janae and Richie Gustin. Janae Gustin is one of the up-and-coming female drivers out of Marshalltown, Iowa in the IMCA Sport Mods, and Richie Gustin just happens to be one of the best of the best. Jeremy Dinsberger in the mini sprints, multi-champion mini sprint and kart racer.
So how many total drivers do you have?
Total drivers, we just signed on Jesse Sabine. You might have heard of him, and Nick Roberts. So right now we're up to about 21 drivers. We're going to end up with about 25 drivers. And when you come in, when the general public comes in, you're going to pay $10 per 8-lap race. $3 of each race sold goes back to the Holiday Horsepower Drive so we can take care of the kids at Christmas. And then at the end of the day, about 3:30, 3:45, we're going to take the top 5 general public by fastest lap time. We're going to take the top 4 celebrity drivers out of that list by lap time, and we're going to put them on a 25-lap feature.
So explain to me, if I'm not the great and almighty Dan Taylor, I'm just walking in, I want to race with Jesse Sabine.
Yep.
What's it going to cost? Where's that money going to go, and how am I going to get to race against Jesse?
Well, like I said, with the races, we're going to have some fans of these drivers. Look, I want to race. We're not going to have time to sit there and chart every race out. It's going to be first come, first serve on the availability in each race.
So if this starts at noon, I need to get signed up at...
Absolutely, because right at noon, I'll have people at 11:30, but right at noon when we open the door, we start racing, I will have people that will throw $300 down and say, put me in the first 30 races. So it's going to fill up really fast. Now, when you pay $10, $3 of that is going to go back to the Holiday Horsepower Drive, and you have no idea from one race to the next who you're going to be racing against.
Okay.
The one thing we do have to stress, of course there is a little bit of a cost incurred there being over at Joe's. We do have to mandate that you have to buy either a $3 day pass or a $7 annual membership. If you do get the annual membership, you will get a free race in the month of your birthday. So that's a $13.50 savings right there.
What time are you guys opening up the doors officially today? Not just for the Holiday Horsepower Drive, but what time are people able to start showing up?
People will start showing up anywhere between 10:30 and 11, but even if you show up, you might be able to walk in and look around and whatnot, but we're not going to start racing until noon sharp.
Can I get a pre-race in? Because as Dan Taylor, I need some warm-up races.
No, you don't need a pre-race. You need like a pre-season.
I need some hot laps. I need some practice laps. Can I get in there early and do a little bit of racing, or is the racing closed until noon?
The racing is closed right up until noon.
Okay.
That way we make it, a little bit fairer for everybody, because some people would be like, well, I could be in there for like the next hour, getting some races in. And, one would think, well, yeah, but bud, if you sell races at 11, you're making more money. Well, and that might be the case, but we want to make this fair. It is a competition. The drivers are going to like a good challenge.
Even though this is for a good cause, I know none of the drivers out there want to lose.
No.
I saw it as far as a good cause went for the Driving with the Stars at Crawford County. It was getting brutal out there.
Oh, this is going to be like 20 times worse.
But every day people can go out there and race and get into these races. Now let's talk about the Holiday Horsepower Drive and how this contributes to that. Talk about the Holiday Horsepower Drive. And we're 9 minutes into it. We haven't even got to our guest yet. So let's get to her. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I just said your name wrong again.
Oh, you're fine. I'm happy to be here, and I've been enjoying the banter, so don't worry about me over here.
From your perspective, let's talk about what the Holiday Horsepower Drive does for Children's Hospital.
Sure. The Holiday Horsepower Drive is really supportive on a variety of levels for the hospital. It's so much fun to have the kids get to meet the drivers themselves when they come and visit, and chat with them for a few minutes as they visit the floors, along with also delivering toys that have been hand wrapped by the drivers to each individual child at the hospital. So it's just a really personal experience that our families get to enjoy just right before the holidays. And we have grown to love the event and love working with the guys. And gals, for that matter. And gals.
And, buddy, the money you raise for the Holiday Horsepower Drive, it goes into a pot, which you then go out and buy Christmas presents for the kids in Children's Hospital, correct?
Yeah, it works twofold. Here in the last couple of years, we've noticed, and I've talked to Elisa on the phone. I think once we kick off the Racing with the Stars, I think we're in contact about 2 or 3 times a week, giving each other updates. And we both understand that the economy, goes through its ups and downs. And here in the last couple of years, it's no secret it's been down quite a bit for everybody. So when we have the money raised from the Racing with the Stars, we can then take some of them funds and we can go out and get toys and T-shirts and stuff like that. And then at the end of the year, by the time everybody has donated everything, we can see where we're at. And then I can call Elisa and say, hey, look, good news. We don't need to buy a whole lot of stuff because we have this big chunk or this big check to present to the Children's Hospital. And if I remember, we've actually helped you guys create a couple of programs and whatnot.
Yeah, and you've certainly helped purchase some different pieces of equipment for our rehabilitation center, and a variety of supportive elements have been added to the hospital because of the event. So
one of the things I'm actually really, really proud of is, and if you can, because I can't remember all the info about it, but the pediatric center, there was there in the pavilion, there's a brick down there, and where the Holiday Horsepower Drive is identified on that brick, and that's through our donations with the money. But what was that pediatric center? Refresh my memory on that.
Recently we had an addition, and it's called the Specialty Pediatric Center, and it's the large building that you see on the corner of 84th and Dodge, right before the hospital, where that really cool sculpture is with the umbrellas and the kids. So you guys helped to donate to the to help build that building along with several other community members. And
this is going to sound really bad, but I remember the first year I talked to you on the phone, I was like, Elisa, I know we donated I think the first year was like $1,500 or something like that. And I was like, please don't tell me we bought $1,500 worth of bedpans. It's like, we want to do something cool for race car drivers. I mean, we want them, but, and this is really cool. There was that first year, which would have been 2006, 2007, there was a behavioral program. Can you in some way expand on that? Because all I know is that there was a behavioral program where...
What a surprise. You're involved with a behavioral program. Was he banned from the behavioral program? Or did you use him as an example to not act like this?
I'm not really sure what he's talking about. Maybe he's given it the wrong name, but forgive me. I wish Rob was here to help defend me.
Let's talk about some of the gifts. I know we just talked about some of the proceeds for this charity coming up in a couple hours. We'll go to help purchase presents for the kids. Can I bring my own present? Can I bring a Super Soaker? Can I bring a Nerf football? Can I bring a present? Maybe I'm out shopping with my family. I know I've got to go out this week and pick up some items for my niece's birthday party. So can I just pick up an item and donate that? Or would you guys prefer the cash?
We would certainly be very much happy with that. However, we have a lot of kids, a variety of ages, so we try and make a shopping list, and we give that to Betty Ray, and it includes, things for babies up to all the way up to teenagers. So we want to make sure that everybody gets a gift, and we don't want to be overwhelmed with 10,000 Super Soakers, unfortunately. So
no, but that'd be a lot of fun in the hallways.
Oh, God, wouldn't it be? Let's talk about some of the items. I know you have been just absolutely taunting me all week long since we last aired on Sunday with some of the items you've gotten as far as the Holiday Horsepower Drive.
We got some cool stuff on the silent auction table.
Yeah, I mean, you are good at blowing smoke. I mean, you're very good at blowing smoke, but this is no blowing smoke kind of an event. I mean, you've got some pretty, dare I say, kick-ass items that I am definitely glad I get paid this week so that I'm going to listen, if you're going to get any of these items, you're going to have to go toe-to-toe with me. And I'm a radio broadcaster. I don't have much money, but I'm mortgaging the house for some of these things. Yeah. Let's talk about some of these items you've got up for auction.
So far we've got 2 4x8 banners with the Racing with the Stars. Typically every year we actually have all the drivers autograph them, and either we raffle them off or we give them away to a couple of kids. The one thing I had to clarify, and I hadn't clarified on the list yet, we do have a autographed Kevin Harvick Budweiser hood. Now, this is off of a full-size scale Cup car.
This isn't like just some 164th, 132nd.
This is the real deal, folks, right here.
Do you provide delivery?
No. Okay, that one you're going to have to take home. If you're in the metro area, you might be able to talk me into delivering it to your house. I said autographed Kevin Harvick hood. It's actually not personally autographed. It's just a vinyl copy of his autograph, so I got to change that. But either way, it's going to be a really cool piece. You don't see those, especially full size off of a Cup car. You don't see those laying around. Although we do have a dirt late model center nose section autographed by Clint Boyer. It's the 07 Jack Daniels late model center nose. We have a Michael Waltrip late model front fender skirt autographed. We have an autographed Jimmy Spencer late model front fender skirt. And then sit down, Dan, because I know you're going to get all hot and bothered. We have an autographed Tony Stewart 1/64th scale Home Depot car, unopened, new in the box.
Don't even bother, people. I'm telling you, don't even bother.
Don't even bother. No, because Dan's going to be like a rabid wolf.
I'm going to get it. I don't care. That is mine.
Now, the one thing that people are going to get a little concerned about, my next item, if you're a true aficionado of racing and NASCAR in general, it looks old because it is old. We have an old Dale Earnhardt Sr. shirt. It's not wrapped, but you can see where Dale Earnhardt Sr. himself had autographed it. That's going to be on the silent auction table. Okay. For all the Husker fans out there, we have an autographed Johnny Rogers Husker mini helmet autographed by Johnny Rogers. And then here's one of the top-notch items. We have a helmet signed by all the USMTS and the super late model drivers from I-80 Speedway's 2012 Silver Dollar Nationals this year. And here's a little fact about that helmet. I didn't realize this, but Joe Kaczynski, the owner of I-80 Speedway, I had his dad sign it. I didn't really think much about it until I found out a few days later that name is quite possibly the most important name on that helmet for the simple fact he ran the Daytona 500 in 1960, which I didn't realize. I knew he had been in NASCAR, but I didn't know he ran the Daytona 500. But some of the names that are going to be on that helmet, Scott Bloomquist, Jimmy Owens, Ryan Reuter, Ryan Gustin, Joe Kaczynski, Bob Kaczynski, Steve Kaczynski's on there. I mean, just some of the best of the best. Billy Moyer. Burkhofer. He won it.
You actually had him sign it special, right?
Yep, I had him sign. He won the 2012 Nationals this year, so I had him sign the face shield. Kyle Burke's on there. It's going to be in a plastic helmet display box on a wooden plaque. Now, it's not bolted down or nothing. That way it's easily, you can move it around piece by piece, but it's going to look great on the mantelpiece. And then, if there's any Iowa Hawkeye football fans out there, and if you are, I'm sorry that your team's struggling this year.
You know, let's just stop right there, okay? Everyone has bad seasons, okay?
Look at the Huskers, and I'm a huge Husker fan. But we do have an Iowa Hawkeyes football helmet that's got a lube tube. And before your minds go in the gutter on this, a lube tube is a vial that holds 100 ounces. It comes straight off the top of the helmet, and it holds 100 ounces of your favorite beverage, kiddie or adult. Yeah,
Apple cider.
Apple cider. But it holds 100 ounces of your favorite beverage, and it's got it is what it is, a beer tap on the bottom of the vial. So that's going to go.
Is the helmet wearable, or is it?
No, it's mounted. Okay. It's what it is. It's a replica helmet. It's not a full-size helmet, but it's not a tiny, tiny helmet.
Okay.
You know, an 8-year-old could wear it, but it's already mounted on a plaque with the big 100-ounce vial coming off the top of it. So, you know, and we're still looking at, you know, additional stuff. I've got a 2001 8x10 framed picture of Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s car at Daytona, the one, unfortunately, where we lost him. We have an 8x10 of a Richard Petty at the Daytona 500 from 2001. So I'm always getting more and more and more stuff. So by the time you get to the track day, I could even have more. But come on down. It's all for a good cause. It'll all be silent auction. If there is a raffle item, it will be clearly marked raffle only.
Okay. And when does the silent auction end?
3:30. So we might have some 8-lap races, but I got to cut it somewhere. It will be 3:30.
Do I have to be there to claim my silent auction item, or will you contact me later?
No, my wife has actually got on the silent auction sheets. It'll have name, phone number, and how much you bid, of course. And then each item will either be in $5 or $10 increments, and then we'll have the starting bid price. But, ideally, I'd like to have you there if you want it, but if you're not, it's not a big deal.
No, some people that are not able to stay around for the whole time, but,
Oh, absolutely.
You've got options.
Yep.
And so this takes place in just 4 short hours. Less than 4 hours away, actually,
Yep.
because it's about 8:45 right now. So you need to be getting your breakfast down, getting your fire suit ready to go. Joe's is going to open up at 11. Doors are going to open up at 11.
Doors are going to open at 11, but racing's not going to start until noon.
That way you can get signed in, you can get everything ready. If you don't have a membership to Joe's, get one. That's why you need to get there early to make sure you can get signed up and get in the system. Or you can get yourself a day pass for just $3. Correct?
Yep, just $3 day pass will get you your head sock, your helmet rental.
Okay.
And then you just pay $10 for that day's races, or you get the $7 annual membership. It does the same thing as the $3 day pass, but it gives you a free race. The one thing I've been telling everybody's asking, how many people are we expecting? 600 is what I'm expecting between 4 hours. So
it was nuts. It was packed last year. I know. I bid on a couple of items. I won myself an autographed Dale Earnhardt Jr. Senior 8x10, which is still locked away in my cabinet. It's going to get framed here shortly. But yeah. So if you want to get involved in this event, like I said, the best way of getting some information, you can go to holidayhorsepowerdrive.com. The front stretch. I know we're going to become active all this time with posting that stuff with leading up to it, and the Joe's Karting website or Facebook page, you can friend there, and that will keep you up to date with drivers that are signing up for it and items you have locked in. If you want to donate an item or you've got any questions, what's the contact again?
Buddy J at joeskarting.com, or you can even email me at pbrcowboy, just number 2, pbrcowboy2 at yahoo.com. Just drop me an email or call Joe's, and we'll be good to go. Once again, the number at Joe's, 712-256-5278.
Elisa, anything else you want to add?
We really appreciate everything that you guys do to help the kids, and I hope you guys have a great day today.
On that note, so many drivers have come to the hospital. I think we've had at least, with all the racers that have, even outside of the Christmas deal. I know we've had a patient in the past where we went to Hastings, Grand Island, picked up her van, got some work done. So we do stuff even year round behind the scenes. I think we've had at least over 300 racers and their sponsors get behind us. The one thing I want to make adamant is this is not what I do. This was something, honestly, that was designed to be a one-time deal back in 2006, and then the racers got behind it, and it took off. So if it wasn't for the racing community, this wouldn't have worked. There's no way I could do this by myself. So when these guys come in, get pictures, get autographs. I don't think we've ever had really a cocky, arrogant, rude person. Everybody's been really, really nice, down to earth. And drivers, I'm going to tell you right now, take it for what it's worth. If you're listening, when you see these kids, or if you get to go to the hospital, it'll be something that you've never experienced. When you think you've had a bad day, a bad week, or the car wasn't right, or you're just feeling all the way around down, when you see these kids and they treat you like $1 million rock star, this is going to be the most surreal experience in your life. And if I remember, at least I think the last 3 years in a row, when we get done at the hospital, we all meet down in the lobby. And there's usually like 1 or 2 drivers that get requested to go back upstairs, and then you let those drivers go back up and hang out with that family. And we see kids from all walks of life, all the way around the world. So, it's unless you've been there, there's no way you can describe what the patient and the driver goes through. It's just a very intimate setting.
I think it's really beneficial for not only the families, but also the staff and the racers that come. It just really is a wonderful experience for everybody involved, just to get to know each other and share their love for the sport, but also just, to hang out with the kids and give them a little bit of joy right before the holidays.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Elisa. We really appreciate it.
Thanks again for having me and for helping the kids.
And again, if you want to get any information, holidayhorsepowerdrive.com. Search for Holiday Horsepower Drive, Joe's Karting, or The Front Stretch on Facebook, and you get all the information. We'll be right back with Turn 4. This is The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, brought to you by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
We're getting the signal of one left to go here on the front stretch. We're just about out of time. We want to say thanks again to Elisa. And, Buddy, thanks for coming in and, obviously doing the show, but sitting down and kind of opening up as far as what the Holiday Horsepower Drive is. I know it's a long time overdue, but I hope we answered a lot of questions in the last turn. And we just want to say again, if you need any information, Buddy J at joeskarting.com. Let's get into turn 4, presented by Kaziski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street. If you need to get your car or truck repaired, I'm a bit of a handyman myself. I like to work on my cars myself. I like to replace the parts myself if I can. So I'll head down to Kaziski Auto Parts, pick myself up an alternator. Maybe I need a water pump. Maybe I need a carburetor, a fuel injector.
CV shaft.
Right. I'll just walk in there, or I give them a call, and Andrew or any one of the professionals will help me take care of me. You walk in, I've seen him in action while I'm sitting there trying to talk with some of the guys. A customer walks in and says, I got this kind of a car, and this is the issue. Usually they'll diagnose it, and then they'll walk out and grab the part for you and give it to you. Full lifetime warranty on it, so it's not like you're going to get pinched and you're going to get, as soon as you're out the door, it's, sorry, receipt. Transactions are all final and you're just plain screwed. No, they'll take care of you and make sure that you're happy. And that's Kaziski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street. Get there today and get your car back in working condition at a reasonable price. I know that everyone could use saving a couple of dollars here and there. Well, let's talk about how the chase is lined up. Martinsville, the Tums Fast Relief 500 is over with. That was the 33rd race in the season, so we've got just 3 races left. Texas is coming up in just a few hours. And let's talk about the point standings and how they laid out. Jimmy Johnson takes the points lead over Brad Keselowski because Johnson won the race. Keselowski comes in 6th, so all of his points lead he had built up, it's gone. But I wanted to say, I want to give Brad a lot of credit because he worked hard on a car that was junk. And they got themselves a top 10 finish. They got themselves a 6th place finish and are able to salvage what could have been an incredibly bad day.
You know what? When you look at Keselowski running Kansas, the one thing Johnson had over Keselowski at Kansas, Johnson actually picked up 1 bonus point. Keselowski picked up 0 bonus points. So had Keselowski had that 1 bonus point, we'd only see a 1 point difference in the points right now. But we were talking off the air about this Rule 72 that Ricky Craven, an ESPN analyst with NASCAR, had derived, and I've been following it this year. Right now, bonus points on average per race, Keselowski and Johnson are averaging the same number of points. When it comes down to a finish, this is how close it is. Johnson is averaging 5.285 to Keselowski's 5.714. Everybody else is way beyond that.
Yeah.
And right now, do you think Keselowski's getting nervous? Do you think Johnson's just a cool cucumber right now? I mean, he's been here 6 times.
I think these are the only 2 drivers that you can effectively say are not nervous. I mean, Brad shows no signs of being stressed. We saw it a couple of years ago when Denny Hamlin was in it.
Yep.
He was throwing water bottles. He was cussing. He was screaming on the radio. Brad is essentially cloned of a Jimmy Johnson as far as it is on the radio.
Look what his crew did at Martinsville.
What they did there, and what they did at Kansas. He didn't have the best finish at Kansas. He comes on the radio and says, you know what, guys? We worked hard, and we got ourselves a good finish. Congratulations. Take this. He was a cheerleader on the radio, and that is a championship difference as far as it comes. I know we harp on these 2 a lot, but that is the difference between Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch, is if those 2 were to have the respect and the calm on the radio that Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Clint Bowyer, Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman, Joey Logano, these guys have a calm on the radio that makes the team gel so well, but the competitive side of the Bushes just overwhelms them, and they have these explosions, and your team quits on you.
Oh, absolutely. And NASCAR is no different. NASCAR all the way down to dirt track, it's no different than any other sport. You can play like a champion, you can run like a champion, you can hit and kick like a champion, but you got to think like a champion first. And sometimes, any sport's a team effort. NASCAR is just as big as a team effort all the way down to dirt track racing. Sometimes the best cheerleader out there is not your crew, it's the driver. Because if you got 5 guys working on a car and they're all 5 feeling defeated because the car didn't do very good, the best thing you can have is have your driver back your crew up and say, look, guys, you did the best you can. But that's where that championship winning attitude comes into play, and we're seeing that in Keselowski right now.
This is going to be an intense chase. I mean, listen, if you walked into this season expecting to have a chase like we had in 2011, you were sadly mistaken. That is a once-in-a-lifetime happening.
And it could possibly happen again.
It's going to get close. I mean, let's face it. These 2 are the most consistent finishers. Let's look at these 2 statistics throughout the year. Brad Keselowski, 21 top 10s, 12 top 5s, 5 wins in the season. Jimmy Johnson, 23 top 10s, 17 top 5s, and 4 wins on the season. These guys are the epitome of consistency, and that's what the Chase rewards. The old Chase system, before the one we implemented 2 years ago at the beginning of the 2011 season, was all about consistency. And I think that's the reason why Jimmy Johnson won so many races, won those 5 championships in a row. Then they kind of tweaked it a little bit, and now it's consistency plus wins. And we've got Brad Keselowski with 5, and we've got Jimmy Johnson with 4. Oh, by the way, those two have the most wins in the Chase, and they have the most wins of the season.
You talk about consistency. Let me point this out. Keselowski, we're 7 races through the Chase right now. Keselowski has a first, a sixth, a first, a 7th, an 11th, an 8th, and a 6th. Jimmy Johnson has a 2, a 4th, a 17th, a 2nd, 9th, and 1st. So you're looking right there. That's consistency across the board. You take away that 11th place finish with Keselowski and 17th with Johnson, you got a hell of a points battle.
Exactly, and this is going to get interesting. Clint Bowyer 26 points behind. All it's going to take is one of these. It's going to take both of these guys to slip.
They have one screw up. Boyer's right there.
Boyer's right back in it. I think Denny Hamlin's out of it because that's going to take 2 screw ups, and we've only got 3 races.
We only got 3 races. Hamlin, nobody fears the worst on any driver, but Hamlin really right now needs these guys to be wrecking or crashing or something needs to be going wrong like in the first 50 laps of the race or just have a really, really terrible car. Clint Bowyer can run up there in the top with these 2 guys for the next 3 races, but even then I think Clint Bowyer's going to need one of these guys to go a lap down or have an engine problem or something like that. And I know from experience running against some of the guys in my division, even at the dirt track level, we don't want to see nobody get hurt, and we don't want to see tore up race cars. But hey, come on, can we have a flat tire? Can a transmission blow? Can we get lucky?
We were at Martinsville, and the first green flag run, just before the first caution came out, Johnson was very close to putting Brad Keselowski a lap down. I believe he had 4 cars in between him and Brad. You think as soon as he saw that blue deuce in front of him, he started driving just a little bit harder?
Oh, yeah.
Because at Martinsville, you get a lap down, it's incredibly difficult to come back from that. Because you're now stuck back in the pack.
Now, when I think of Texas, I'm thinking Keselowski.
You know what? I'll have to
pull up. But I know Jimmy Johnson's won there. Quite a bit in the past.
Yeah, let me pull up my records, but we'll continue kind of breaking down a little bit. We talked about it. Does that say something as far as our Chase is concerned, that we are going 3 races in and we still haven't had a driver mathematically eliminated?
Yeah, and if you think about it, here's an argument that could be made. I understand where you're going with that question, but here's Dale Jr., who's been out for 2 weeks because of concussion. Not his fault. Not his fault. It is what it is. Victim of bad luck. But he's still not mathematically. So could the argument be made saying that, well, yeah, these guys are running close, but are the other drivers not having that great of a season when Dale Jr.'s missed 2 and he could still, in theory, possibly make a run for it? He's not mathematically out.
Right.
He could, in theory.
Well, I tell you what, how nuts would NASCAR Nation go if he came back and won this championship?
Missed a quarter of the Chase and still won.
Wow. Well, he didn't miss a quarter of the Chase. He only missed 2 races.
2 out of 10, almost 25%.
That's not 25%.
That's 20%.
Let's look let's look back at Texas back in April 14th when it was the 7th race of the season. As they finished, Greg Biffle was your winner. Jimmy Johnson was 2nd. Mark Martin 3rd. Jeff Gordon 4th. Matt Kenseth 5th. Brad Keselowski 36th. I don't recall off the top of my head what he had. He did finish running, though, but he obviously had an issue because he only completed 312 laps of the 334. So
that ain't going to happen this weekend. Not today.
Boy, I tell you what, he qualified 8th, so that's not to say he doesn't have a fast car. Jimmy Johnson qualified 10th that day. Comes home with a 2nd place victory. So Texas Motor Speedway, this is one of those races that gets hyped up because it's not a wild card at all. But this is going to be good. This is good hard racing when they go to Texas. And then we've just got Phoenix and Homestead left.
Now, remind me, is Texas restrictor plate?
No. The only 2 restrictor plates are Daytona and Talladega.
All right. So not being a restrictor plate, I'd love to see Keselowski up there. I mean, I know Andrew's not here, and Andrew would roll his eyes at me. I'd like to see Keselowski up here just because I don't want to see Jimmy Johnson win. I mean, it's going to be like, okay, so he won. Okay, no big deal.
You know, that's going to have to be a story for another time because we're running out of time. But if Jimmy Johnson wins a 6th championship, is it good or bad for the sport?
Bad.
We'll have to talk about that, and maybe next week in Turn 4. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again for all of your continued support throughout the year. We just got a couple of shows left in the regular season, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint. we're working on something for the off season. So maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to hear us yak throughout the entire year. That's actually a good thing. But thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see each and every one of you down at Joe's Karting this afternoon. Starting at noon, it's going to be the Holiday Horsepower Drive, which is, buddy, your big charity event.
Racing with the Stars for the Holiday Horsepower Drive.
Right, so be down there today at noon. It's going to go till 4. Hope you enjoy your day. Hope you enjoy the race. And more importantly, we hope to see you down there for the Holiday Horsepower Drive. This has been The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.